Mature makeup beauty tips. I'm a makeup artist. I've been a makeup artist for like over 20 years. Look at the difference, okay? This is very much a natural, no makeup look, but I've used the simplest techniques to transform this side of my face to this side. If you want to learn what I've done and how easy it is to do at home, keep watching. I'm now going to take this off so you can see what I look like completely makeup free, and then I'm going to teach you the transformative tips. I hope you're wearing socks because they're about to be blown off. So I've removed my makeup, but full disclosure, I have left a little bit of mascara on just for some dignity on the internet today. So the first thing I'm going to teach you is a way you can apply your concealer to look like a full face of foundation without having to cake your face in foundation. Now to do that, I'm using this amazing product called Rest and Youthful. You probably don't have this, so you could use your concealer at home, or if you're interested in finding out about anything that I'm using in this tutorial, then there'll be links above or below. Okay, so the trick to getting that perfected look with minimal face makeup is to apply your concealer in key areas. Now the key areas are where we get most of our darkness, which is typically in the inner corner here. So I'm gonna just dab where I put the concealer, around our nose because we get like broken capillaries, any marks on our face, hyperpigmentation, rosacea, and then really the rest of my face doesn't need that much coverage. However, because I want to marry up the colour here, here and here to the rest of my face, I'm going to apply a little of my concealer on my forehead and on my chin. And when I blend all this together, it's going to give the look of perfection. So with my ring finger, I'm going to press in the product. And this is something that I love to do because it gives me more control of the product, but it also means that I'm making the most of the product, because if I start wiping like this, it's going to thin the product out and it's going to go nowhere. Well, it will go everywhere, but kind of it won't give me the coverage of where I need it to be. So I just press in, and then if it's a good concealer like this one, it will blend really, really easily. And then when I get to areas that need less coverage, I don't pat, I then feather and blend and wipe. And what this does, it diffuses the colour, it gives a sheerer finish, but it also marries up the colour that I applied here, 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 and here. The same on my forehead, large circular motions. And then I look at my face and I think, wow. I don't actually think, wow, I think, oh, I still need a bit of help. But I think, wow, that's made such a difference just by using just a little bit of product. So any areas that I need a bit more, I will add a little bit more, like there, and I will just tap in. So this is a way that you can get a beautiful, perfected look to your complexion without having to wear a full face of foundation. The next thing I do is I get a spoolie such as this one. If you don't have anything like this at home, you could wash a mascara wand and give it a clean and a dry, and then you have your own spoolie. And I brush my brow upwards. And this really helps give my eye more of a lift, but it also helps frame my eyes. So any area like after the arch that's like sticking up, I will just tidy it down. And then I will get a brow pencil, such as this one, which has, well actually this has a spoolie on the end of it, but this is so cool because look how thin this tip is. It's so thin, and it means I can draw little hairs. So this isn't about your brows looking heavy and fake. This is about your brows looking like your brows, only a little bit more fuller. So to do that, I look at where I have gaps in my brows, which typically on most of us is here, and then I simply have my pinky finger as my stabilizer and I draw along where I want the roots of my brow hair to be a little bit thicker. So typically I will draw from the start of my brow hair across to where the arch starts, like that. Then I would take my spoolie and brush that line upwards to blend in to my brow. So it doesn't look like I've drawn a line because I've now blended it up into the rest of my brow. Now already my brow is looking much more defined and lifted, and then I will take the brow pencil, pinky finger as my stabilizer, and I would just draw in little hairs down from the arch to the end of the tail. And then if you've overplucked your brows in the past, like I have in my 20s, I hold my pencil vertically, and this will tell me, when I hold my pencil vertically from the corner of my nose upwards, this will tell me where my brow should ideally start. So I will draw in a few little hairs here. Now the trick to drawing in natural looking hairs is this. You press firmly at the base, not too firmly, but firmly-ish, and then flick up. And this gives the look of a root and then up to a lighter hair. What you don't want to do is make this your hair like that, because that's not how hairs look. They always look slightly thicker at the root and then flick up like that. And then by not applying too many hairs, if it looks a little bit more gappy at the start of the brow, that's going to look more natural, because naturally we are slightly more gappy here. So you don't want to kind of fill it in too much so that it looks blocky, and that will keep your brow looking really natural. And then just comb through. Really, really natural, but you can see just the tip, the ways to use your concealer and your brow pencil really can make such a transformative difference, but in a very natural way. This next tip that's going to transform your look is about using bronzer in a way that really sculpts your bone structure and gives a much more kind of lifted and a defined look to your face, so it gets much more of a 3D. So when I'm thinking about bronzer, there's two ways to wear it. We can wear it in the summer to give us like a tanned look, and to do that you'd use a big fluffy brush like this. But for this sculpted look, we're going to use a smaller brush like this with a slant. Now if you don't have a brush like this at home, perhaps you've got a blusher brush like that, which has got a smaller head than a big bronzing brush. Ideally for this, it's good to have a brush with a slant, but you can still get a similar effect with a dome-shaped brush. If you want to see this brush, there is a link above or below of this video and you can see this. The other thing you're going to need is a bronzer that is totally matte. We don't want any shimmer in this, we don't want any glow as such, because we want this bronzer to act more like a shadow on our face. So this bronzer is great because it's not got a lot of orange in it, and if a bronzer's got a lot more orange or warmth in it, it's going to give us that tanned look. But actually, if you get a bronzer that's got much more kind of like grey undertones in it, it's actually going to give you much more of a sculpted look, like a soft contour, but not like those contours we did years ago that looked really obvious. So we're going to place our brush into the powder, and we're going to coat all the brush. Now, I'm not telling you to suck eggs here, but it's a really handy to know how to use makeup brushes. So when you use a makeup brush, you want to coat all of the surface area of that brush. You don't just want to do the tip, you want to do all the surface area like that. But then you want to tap off so that you're getting a good surface area amount, but you've not got loads on the brush. Then you want to hold your brush from the tip, not near the bristle, because if you hold it near the bristle, it's going to give you much more of a heavier coverage, okay? So holding at the tip means that it gives you a lighter coverage because there's less weight near the bristles. And pretend this is your face, you're holding the brush as it's intended to be on your face like this. You're not pressing like that and creating an abnormal shape for that brush. You want the brush to work in the shape it's intended like that. Hope that helps. Now, to get a really sculpted look to our cheekbones, we're going to apply the bronzer at the back of our face to start with. We're not going to start here, we're going to start here, because when we get more depth of colour towards the back of our face, that's going to make our cheekbones look more lifted and higher. So our cheekbones, we can feel a little ridge here, okay? We start by the back of our face, just where your hairline starts with your ear here. And then you're going to take your brush and you're going to swoop it into a C like this. So this swoopy C motion is hugging and curving around your cheekbone. So it's like this. But we're not going to take the brush right the way across like that. We're going to take it down here and then flick like this. And with that little flicky motion, it's going to create a really soft diffuse look. So watch this. Once you get the confidence, it's really quick and easy to do. Now, your microfiber cloth, which is a household cloth, make sure it's clean. Just wipe off your brushes so they don't have any product left on them. And then you can use the same brush to blend. And to blend, you're just gonna move in quick circular motions just to blend around any edges so it looks really natural. Now you can see already that this side of my face is just looking a little bit sculpted compared to this side, which is looking a bit more flat. Now to enhance that kind of sculpted look, we're going to now put a little bit more on our brush, and then we're going to sculpt our jawline. And to do that, we're going to go from the back of like our jawline here, right at the back. We're going to follow the line right to the chin here. And it's just a simple swoosh like this. And this is going to create a more defined jawline. Add a little bit more onto your brush. And then blend the colour down. Now, often we will have a light bit here. So we can colour that in. And that's going to just give us a much more defined jawline. And then a little bit more on your brush, and just take it around the corners of your forehead here, and then the side of your nose, and then the leftover on your brush. Just give your lid a little dusting of the shadow too. Can you see that gives the look of eyeshadow without any eyeshadow brushes and any eyeshadow. Now to enhance that kind of lift to our eye, I'm going to recommend using a peachy creamy liner like this. Now this liner, you could be thinking, ooh, how does she use that? Well, I use this to give eyes a real sparkle. So I'm going to line just along the middle of the lower waterline here. I'm not taking the colour right the way across because I just want this to frame the iris. And then I'm going to just blend with my pinky finger so it doesn't have a sudden end either side. And what that is going to do is just make the whites of my eyes look whiter and my eyes brighter. And then I'm going to take the same pencil and I'm going to apply this under my brow. And when I've put a little bit of that bronzer on my lid, by lifting my brow bone, that's the bone under my brow, and then blending with my pinky finger, it's going to give me the look of a lovely natural eye lift, like so. I'm going to take a little bit around the tear duct area here, blend, and that's just going to add a shot of light in the inner corner of my eye there. Now that looks really natural. It doesn't look like I'm wearing hardly any makeup, but it's made such a difference. My next transformative tip is applying lip liner in a way that makes your lips look fuller. Now, if you haven't applied a lip liner before, now is the time to try, because honestly, when you see the difference that this technique makes, you will just be obsessed with it. Now, I like to use a liner that is like a browny, pinky nude color. So it's quite a few shades darker than my natural lip. Now, when you do this, there's a couple of tips to make it easier. You're going to use your pinky finger as your stabilizer. So this is going to give you just a steadier hand. And you're going to look at your lip and you're going to make sure that when you line your lip, we're lining on the very top rim of the lip. We're not going to go over the lip line, but we're going to go on the top rim of the lip. And to do that in a really easy way is simply to start lining from the corner of your lip to the cupid's bow, as opposed to from your cupid's bow down to the corner. I'm going to show you how two different techniques can make a big difference to how full your lips look. So let's do the fuller side here. And you'll notice when I'm doing it, I'm not worrying about doing a really fluid line like that, because that can be too difficult for makeup newbies. Just doing it in a little feathery motion like that. Okay, you can see already how much more defined my lip looks. Now I'm going to do it the opposite way on this side. So I'm going to go from the cupid's bow down to the corner. Now, can you see the difference? By lining from the cupid's bow down to the corner, it's going slightly under the ridge. But by lining from the corner up to the cupid's bow, it's encouraging the pencil to hug the very top rim of the lip. So let me just correct that and do it the other way. And then the lower lip, corner to middle. Now, if your lips are dry, apply a little bit of lip balm at this point. But if your lips are quite moist, then you can just simply take your lip liner and just gently fill your lips. You don't have to worry about doing it perfectly. Just do a few little dashes and lines and dots like this. Smudge your lips together. Blend with your finger, and this is going to give you a really natural, fuller looking lip pout that doesn't even look like you're wearing lipstick. It just makes your lips look full and lovely. Now, does it even look like I've got much makeup on this side of my face? Look at how transformative that is. I mean, do we think we could try this at home? I hope that I've made you feel excited to apply your makeup tomorrow, because these tips make such a difference. And if you want to see anything or read any more about the products that I've used in this video, then there are links above or below. But I hope I've made you feel excited to apply your makeup tomorrow, because it really can give us a lovely pep in our step. And I'll see you soon in another tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Bye.